Long before Germany became a nation, the lands of Central Europe were home to scattered tribes, fierce, independent, and resilient. Among them were the Cherusci, Saxons, Franks, and Bavarians, who lived in dense forests and along powerful rivers like the Rhine and the Danube. The Roman Empire saw them as barbarians, yet it was the Germans who delivered one of Rome's greatest defeats. In 9 CE, the Germanic leader Arminius ambushed and destroyed 3 Roman legions in the Teutoburg Forest, halting Rome's expansion eastward. This battle would forever define the frontier between Latin and Germanic Europe. Over the next centuries, these tribes remained divided, but their cultures slowly intertwined through trade, war, and migration. Christianity began spreading, and new kingdoms emerged, especially the Frankish kingdom, which would later play a crucial role in shaping medieval Europe. Despite constant warfare and shifting alliances, a common language and spirit began to form. The people of these lands developed a sense of shared strength against foreign domination. The early Germanic tribes left behind not only legends of valor but also a legacy of independence that would echo throughout German history. They laid the foundations for what would one day become the Holy Roman Empire, and eventually, the modern nation of Germany. This period, though ancient, reveals the origins of German identity, courage, discipline, and unity forged from diversity. The story of Germany truly begins here, in the mists of the Teutoburg Forest, where tribes, not empires, ruled the land. In 9 CE, deep in the misty forests of Germania, the fate of Europe changed forever. 3 Roman legions, led by General Varus, marched confidently through the Teutoburg Forest, unaware that betrayal awaited them. Arminius, a Germanic warrior who had served Rome as an auxiliary, secretly united the scattered tribes under one goal: to free Germania from Roman rule. For days, rain poured as the Romans trudged through narrow paths, weighed down by armor and supply wagons. Suddenly, from the trees, came the roar of Germanic warriors. Spears rained down, and chaos spread. Trapped in the woods, the Roman formation collapsed. By the third day, nearly 20,000 Roman soldiers were dead. Arminius had done the impossible, destroyed the might of Rome and ensured Germania would never become a Roman province. The Rhine River became the natural border of the Roman Empire, marking the limits of Roman civilization. The Battle of Teutoburg Forest was more than a military victory. It was the birth of a national identity. Centuries later, German leaders would celebrate Arminius as Hermann the Liberator, the first hero of Germany. His victory set the tone for the German spirit, defiant, independent, and unyielding. After Rome's fall, Europe entered the Dark Ages. But from the ashes rose the Franks, a Germanic tribe that would shape medieval Europe. Under their greatest ruler, Charlemagne, Charles the Great, the Franks built an empire stretching from France to modern Germany, Italy, and beyond. Crowned emperor by the Pope in 800 CE, Charlemagne sought to unite Europe under Christianity and education. He reformed administration, standardized weights and measures, and built schools to preserve ancient knowledge. His rule brought order and learning to a fragmented continent. Charlemagne's empire became the foundation for the later Holy Roman Empire. Even centuries after his death, Germans looked to him as the father of Europe. His dream of a united, strong, and cultured realm influenced every ruler who followed. The legacy of Charlemagne shaped not only Germany's medieval future but also the very concept of Europe as a shared civilization. In 962 CE, Otto I, King of Germany, was crowned Emperor of the Romans, reviving Charlemagne's vision. This moment marked the birth of the Holy Roman Empire, a vast and complex realm that lasted nearly 900 years. Unlike centralized kingdoms like France, the empire was a patchwork of duchies, bishoprics, and free cities. The emperor ruled not by absolute power but through alliances and religion. The church played a central role, with bishops often acting as both spiritual and political leaders. Over time, the balance between emperor and pope created endless struggles for dominance. Despite its complexity, the Holy Roman Empire gave Germany a shared cultural and political identity. Great cathedrals rose, trade flourished, and German cities like Cologne and Nuremberg became centers of art and learning. Though fragmented, the empire's motto, "One Empire," Many states symbolized the unity and diversity that still defines Germany today. During the Middle Ages, Germany was a land of knights, castles, and peasant villages. Feudalism structured society. Kings granted land to nobles, who offered protection to peasants. In return, peasants worked the land and paid taxes. Castles dotted the hills, serving both as fortresses and symbols of power. Chivalry, the code of honor among knights, guided warfare and society. Yet, life for common people was harsh and bound by rigid traditions. Despite the hardships, this era saw cultural and architectural growth. The construction of Gothic cathedrals like Cologne Cathedral showed Germany's artistic and spiritual devotion. Pilgrimages and fairs brought people together, and trade slowly connected distant regions. Medieval Germany laid the social foundations for the modern state: loyalty, craftsmanship, and regional pride. Though divided among lords and princes, the German people shared a faith and culture that bound them together for centuries. By the 13th century, Germany's northern cities looked toward the sea. From Lübeck to Hamburg, merchants united to protect trade routes and expand their influence across the Baltic Sea. This alliance became known as the Hanseatic League, one of the greatest economic networks in medieval Europe. It began as a pact for mutual protection against pirates and corrupt nobles. But soon, the League controlled trade from London to Novgorod, dealing in timber, fish, furs, salt, and grain. Its ships sailed under the proud banner of the Hansa, and its merchants became Europe's first multinational businessmen. Cities like Bremen, Rostock, and Danzig flourished. They built grand warehouses, stone halls, and Gothic churches financed by trade wealth. The League even negotiated treaties and waged wars, acting like a state within a state. For nearly 300 years, the Hanseatic League symbolized Germany's commercial genius. Though it eventually declined as new sea powers rose, its spirit lives on in Germany's ports and trading culture, proof that German prosperity often began not on battlefields, but on the waves. In 1347, death arrived from the east. The Black Death, a plague carried by rats and fleas, swept through Europe, and Germany was not spared. Within a few years, nearly one-third of its population vanished. Cities like Nuremberg, Cologne, and Erfurt became silent, their streets filled with fear and mourning. The Church struggled to explain the catastrophe. Many saw it as divine punishment. Some communities turned on minorities, tragically blaming Jewish populations for the plague. Others sought redemption through pilgrimages and penance. Yet from this darkness came transformation. Labor shortages gave peasants new power. They demanded better wages and rights. Trade slowed, but innovation followed as survivors rebuilt. The Black Death changed Germany's social order forever. It weakened feudalism, strengthened towns, and forced new thinking about medicine and humanity. From death and despair, a new sense of resilience emerged, a trait that would define Germany through every crisis to come. In 1517, a monk from Wittenberg changed the course of history. Martin Luther, angered by corruption within the Catholic Church, nailed his 95 Theses to a church door, challenging the sale of indulgences and questioning papal authority. What began as an act of conscience sparked the Protestant Reformation. Luther's ideas spread like wildfire through Germany's printing presses, reaching nobles and peasants alike. Salvation by faith alone, he preached, not by payment or power. Soon, German princes saw in Luther's cause a chance for independence from Rome. Entire regions broke from the Catholic Church, while others stayed loyal. The divide led to decades of religious conflict, reshaping not only faith but politics and identity. The Reformation gave birth to Protestantism, modern individualism, and the right to question authority. From a small German town, a spiritual revolution began, one that would echo across the world. From 1618 to 1648, Germany became the battlefield of Europe's most destructive conflict before the World Wars, the 30 Years' War. Sparked by religious tension between Protestants and Catholics, it soon evolved into a brutal struggle for political dominance. Villages burned, crops failed, and armies roamed freely, living off the land. Entire regions were devastated. Some German states lost more than half their population. Cities like Magdeburg were reduced to ashes. The war ended with the Peace of Westphalia, which redrew Europe's map and introduced the idea of national sovereignty. Each ruler could choose his realm's religion. For Germany, however, the price was immense, unity shattered, and its lands remained divided among hundreds of princes. The 30 Years' War left scars on the German psyche, a deep fear of chaos and a longing for order that would echo for centuries. From ruin arose lessons about tolerance, diplomacy, and the true cost of power. While the Holy Roman Empire remained fragmented, one small state began to rise, Prussia. Centered in the cold, windswept lands of Brandenburg, Prussia built its strength not through wealth, but through discipline. Under leaders like Frederick William, the Great Elector, and later Frederick the Great, Prussia transformed into a military powerhouse. Its army became Europe's most efficient, its bureaucracy strict and organized, its people molded by duty and education. Prussian kings dreamed of unity, a Germany bound by order, not chaos. Through wars with Austria, Sweden, and France, Prussia expanded its influence, becoming the heart of German ambition. By the 18th century, the phrase, Prussian efficiency, defined not just an army, but a culture of precision, work ethic, and patriotism. This rise of Prussia set the stage for a new era, one where Germany would seek not just unity, but greatness.